My work with BYSO is beautiful, hard, intense, exciting. I've been working with them for 12 years. And in fact, Tony Fogg of the Boston Symphony put me in touch with them because they were looking for a music director. And I started, as often in life, you started without exactly knowing what was that going to be. And I realized that I completely love it. These kids are talented, smart, enthusiastic, hardworking, and I make them work very hard, so that's a good thing for me. And the results that we have achieved over time, and we achieve every year, are very fulfilling. I think they are happy of the work they do as much as I'm happy of the work I do with them. The BYSO and BSO have been working together for quite a while, and now with this partnership I think we can strengthen the ties, and so I can see in the future having many events together. As we have had already, like family concerts played by BYSO students, and joint events where BSO musicians can BSO musicians can join BYSO musicians for joint concerts. There are several projects that we can do together, but most importantly, it's a combination of ideas and strengths, different strengths. We are, of course, BYSO is a much smaller organization, but we have very deep roots in the community. We have ties with the families. We are the ones who promote very often classical music in the various communities, with the families, with children. And I think that BSO may be also excited to have these ties with the communities. And of course, for us, it's extremely exciting to have ties with the best musical organization, not only in town, but I would say one of the very best in the world. With BYSO, I'm going to conduct, first of all, the first concert we're going to do Petrushka and Beethoven Second Symphony. For opening concert, I always try to do a major Beethoven symphony and a major 20th century piece. That's how the orchestra gets this groundwork. Then we will do, as every year, The Peter and the Wolf here in Symphony Hall for the family series of BSO. Then in January we will do our opera. We always do an opera, and this year it's going to be Rigoletto. And the reason why we do Rigoletto, which is our third Verdi opera in a row, but just by accident, but because this year is the bicentennial of Verdi. The goal is to give them as much variety as possible, trying to do classical repertoire, meaning Vienna classic repertoire, romantic repertoire, 20th century repertoire, and opera. So that really in 2-3 years, the students have a very broad sense of the various styles and musical grammars. I think they grow a lot as musicians because of that, because of the variety. I do have a certain experience in working with young musicians because, of course, BYSO is one of the orchestras I'm music director of, but also I have Harvard, and then I've conducted around Boston University Tanglewood Institute, Aspen, etc. I'm not worried about the future of classical music. I think there is plenty of interest, and there's plenty of quality, and plenty of love for it. Which does not mean that the business model of classical music may change over time. That's very likely. In fact, it's already happening. I'm not worried about major institutions like Boston Symphony, which I think are just too important to not to be protected, and in the long run to succeed, to keep succeeding. But of course, medium and small institutions will suffer. But paradoxically, youth orchestras and non-professional orchestras of high caliber will play a much more important role in the musical life, in just providing the communities with classical music and making the repertoire available. So in fact, the more challenging for regional orchestras the landscape becomes, the more important is that there are non-professional amateur orchestras, youth orchestras of a very high caliber that can step in and offer music to communities. It's very important for both sides that music doesn't get locked in an ivory tower. No matter how fantastic the professional level of a top orchestra is, it's very important that people have access to it and feel that the language, the classical music language, is a common language that everyone understands. And in order to achieve that goal, a symphony orchestra cannot be left alone. There needs to be a discourse around. And I think that these orchestras, these non-professional orchestras, play a key role in that. I came for the first time to the United States as a Tangold Fellow many years ago. That was my first time I came to the United States. And now I just became a US citizen. And I grew completely under here. Tangold first, and then actually twice, and then as assistant conductor here with BSO. And then, of course, working with the youth orchestra, I've always been looking up to what was happening here. These places taught me hundreds of things, and most importantly, has taught me standards. And all the standards sometimes I couldn't reach, but I had to look up to. And so now to have this partnership, for me personally, means a lot. I mean, it's coming back to my alma mater.